In this video, we'll be explaining the June 2021 ban list for the TCG. Why cards were either forbidden or taken off the ban list. Starting off with Zoodiac Drident. This card is going from limited to forbidden, joining forbidden status again after it was first forbidden back in September of 2017, when they tried to curtail the dominance of Tier 0 Zoodiac decks. But then in 2020, they slowly decided to take Zoodiacs off the ban list by putting Drident to limited to 1 copy, while also putting Zoodiac Barrage to limited from unlimited. So with this change in the June 2021 ban list, Zoodiacs are now more heavily hit than they were back in 2017 when they were a Tier 0 deck. So, what Zoodiac Drident does is it simply has a spell speed 2 effect to detach one of its materials to destroy any one face-up card in the field. Since this card can be used during both players' turns, it's an excellent card to disrupt plays. Zoodiacs also have a shared distinction amongst all their Xyz monsters, where they can be brought out on top of any one Zoodiac monster, instead of the normal procedures of an XYZ summon. So think of all of the Xyz Zoodiacs as Link 1 monsters. They just require a Zoodiac as one of its materials. And since Zoodiac Drident's effect is basically a Raigeki break, being able to obtain a Raigeki break without having to use a normal summon thanks to the effect of Zoodiac Barrage has always been kinda powerful. Zoodiac Barrage allows you to destroy one face-up card you control in order to special summon any one Zoodiac monster from your deck. And what do you know? Zoodiac Barrage is a continuous spell card, so it can target itself. So going into Zoodiac Drident was always as easy as just having Zoodiac Barrage and any Zoodiac main deck monster of your choice to be brought out. However, Konami thought this was fine to an extent, and took Zoodiac Drident off the ban list a little bit just as long as they didn't have 3 Barrages to turbo it out faster. But then shortly after, they released a card called Divine Arsenal AAA Zeus Sky Thunder. This is a rank 12 Xyz monster, which can be brought out on top of any Xyz monster that has battle this turn, in which case it gains all of the Xyz materials of that card. And Zeus has the effect where on a spell speed 2, it can detach 2 of its materials to send all of their cards in the field to the graveyard. And unlike Zoodiac Drident, Zeus's effect is not once per turn, and also does not target or destroy, so it basically gets rid of everything that's not immune to monster effects. And since the effect is not once per turn, as long as you have 4 Xyz materials attached to Zeus, then it can just chain its effect again if it's about to be negated, or if it's going to get removed from the field. And with Zoodiac Xyz monsters being able to rank up on top of other Zoodiac Xyz monsters, you can actually get 6 Xyz materials attached to Zeus after just allowing Zoodiac Borbo to attack directly. And with 6 Xyz materials attached to Zeus, which can be started from any one main deck Zoodiac monster and nothing else, that means you could use Zeus's effect 3 times before it runs out of Xyz materials. And all 3 of those times can be done in the same chain, which means if you really wanted to stop his effect, you'd have to negate its effect 3 times in a row. So if Konami simply banned any one of the Zoodiac Xyz monsters, then they could only get up to 5 Xyz materials for Zeus before having to use more than 1 card from the main hand. And if they were going to ban any one of the Zoodiac Xyz monsters to no longer allow 6 material Zeuses, they could have just hit Borbo, since that card can meet the activation requirements of Zeus the easiest. But Drident was also just a super strong card as well, and definitely contributed to Zoodiacs having a resurgence in popularity. So hitting the stronger of those 2 cards kind of makes sense, and basically accomplishes the same thing. They were also going to release a new card called Number S0 Utopic Future Dragon, which can be brought out pretty easily in Zoodiac decks, which would give them access to a 3000 attack negate. So Drident could have been banned in preparation of Utopic Future Dragon, or just because of its Zeus's shenanigans. Next up we have Guardragon Elpy. This is a Link 1 dragon monster which requires a level 4 or lower dragon monster as its materials, and simply has the effect that if there is a zone which 2 Link monsters are pointing to, you can special summon any one dragon monster from your hand or deck to that zone. This effect is a hard once per turn, and Elpy even locks you out of special summoning other monsters except dragon monsters while it's on the field. This card is being forbidden after being unlimited, and the reason this card is getting banned is mainly because it's a really good piece in Dragon Links, which is a pretty consistent deck that can set up a whole board of combos using dragon type monsters and end on a board of negates. And a Link 1 monster that can special summon any dragon type monster from your deck definitely helps out that deck a lot. Although pretty much most of the banned X-Deck monsters have the effect to special summon a monster from the deck. And since Guardragon Elpy is super easy to bring out, and can special summon any dragon type monster from the deck, it was always a matter of when this card was going to get banned, and I'm sure most people were surprised it stayed unbanned for as long as it did. I think one of the reasons it avoided the ban list is because when it first came out, it also came out with Guardragon Pitsy and Guardragon Agripane. All three of the Guardragons basically have similar effects, where if there's a zone that 2 link monsters point to, you can special summon a dragon-type monster from one of their specified locations to that zone. Guardragon Agripane allows you to special summon any dragon monster from your extra deck, which is infinitely more broken than from any other place. And since Agripane was so broken, Guardragon Elpy was just also broken, but kind of flew under the radar. Even the worst of the 3, Guardragon Pitsy, is also good because it allows you to special summon any dragon from your graveyard. Now, onto the newly limited cards. First up, we have Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. This card is basically a pot of greed in Sky Striker decks, as it allows you to add any one Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand, and then afterwards, if you have 3 more spells in your graveyard, you get to draw 1 card. Since this card does not have a hard once per turn on it, it allows you to generate all kinds of advantage in Sky Striker decks who actually reuse a single copy of this card pretty easily. Sky Strikers also have a Link 1 monster called Sky Striker Ace Kagari, which allows you to add back a Sky Striker Mobilize Engage on its summon, which will allow you to use it again. And then Sky Striker Mega Module's multi-roll can allow you to add it back from your graveyard at the end of your turn to be used on your next turn. And since every activation of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage is a +1 in card advantage, having a deck that allows you to reuse the effect multiple times is kinda busted. Sky Striker Mobilize Engage kind of is an equivalent to an archetype-specific Pot of Greed, one that also kind of works good in a lot of other archetypes as a mini-engine. However, it's not completely generic like Pot of Greed, so it always did have the potential to be unbanned sometime in the future, when the game got to the point where Sky Strikers were power crept. I'm not sure if we're at that point yet, but I'm sure having 1 copy of Engage will allow Sky Strikers to see competitive play again, because of just how much advantage that 1 card gives the entire archetype. Next up, we have Miscellaneousaurus, going from unlimited to limited to 1 copy. This card was also banned at one point in the past, which is why people were surprised that it was unlimited at all, after being banned in the first place. The card never really stopped being good, as what it does is allow you to send this card from your hand to the graveyard during the main phase, in order to basically give all of your dinosaur-type monsters immunity to your opponent's activated card effects. And this effect is a quick effect, which means you could use it in response to your opponent trying to negate one of your dinosaur-type monsters' effects on the field. In addition, it also has another effect, where while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it, and any number of dinosaur-type monsters from your graveyard to special summon any one dinosaur-type monster from your deck, with a level that is exactly the number of monsters banished to activate its effect. And Miscellaneousaurus does count as one of those monsters. So with dinosaur types getting Animadorned Archosaur, they basically gained a really good level 1 dinosaur type monster to special summon from the deck with a single copy of Miscellaneousaurus. Animadorned Archosaur has the effect that if it's normal or special summoned, you get to destroy a dinosaur type monster in your hand or on your field in order to add an Evolution Pill spell card from your deck to your hand. So if you simply pick double Evolution Pill, you get to special summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno directly from your deck. Of course, even before they had Animadorned Archosaur, they also had Baby Ceratosaurus as a level 2 option, which was pretty easy to special summon with Miscellaneousaurus as well. Or if they just got 4 cards, they can go directly into Soul Eating Oviraptor, which allows them to search out anything from their deck. And since Miscellaneousaurus doubles as great protection for the dinosaurs and as a combo piece, both of them can be used on the same turn, limiting the card to 1 copy is a good way to rein in its consistency. And I'm sure most people wouldn't be surprised if the card was just banned either. Only limited to 1 copy seems like a fair compromise. Next up, we have Performapal Skullcrobat Joker. This is a level 4 pendulum monster which was originally banned in 2018, and is being taken off the ban list to limited to 1 copy. This card is basically just a consistency booster for pendulum decks, as when this card is normal summoned, you get to add any 1 monster from 3 different pendulum archetypes from your deck to your hand, with Magician Pendulum monsters being one of the best pendulum decks you can play. The card itself is also a Dark Spellcaster type monster, so it comboed very well with Magician Pendulum monsters, and even has a decent scale at 8. This card was mainly banned just to hit the consistency of Pendulum Magician decks, so them releasing it to 1 copy means they don't think it's that big of a deal anymore. Next up, we have Striker Dragon, going from unlimited to limited to 1 copy. This is another card which is a central piece in Dragon Link decks, where it allows you to add the field spell card Boot Sector Launch from your deck to your hand on its summon. It also allows you to destroy 1 monster you control in order to add a rocket monster from your graveyard to your hand. Striker Dragon itself is a Link 1 monster, which just requires a level 4 or lower Dragon type monster's material, which means it's super easy to bring out and is a +1 immediately on its summon. And then it can use itself to swap out for any other rocket monster you want from your graveyard. And it was just a good combo tool in order to manipulate your field for extra deck plays. Plus, the field card it searched out allowed you to summon 2 rocket monsters from your hand. It's just a really good card in that deck, which allows you to search out a really good card that definitely helps set up their combo plays. With both Guardragon Elpy being banned and Striker Dragon being limited to 1 copy, it's pretty obvious they're trying to limit the potential of Dragon Link decks, which I've been showing you the combos of the potential of that deck on screen. And lastly, for the newly limited cards, we have Salamangreat Miragestallio. This is a rank 3 monster which was originally banned back in January of 2020 in order to lower the power level of Salamangreat decks. Miragestallio is just another extra deck monster that allows you to special summon a monster from your deck, which have historically been banned every once in a while. Not every extra deck monster that can special summon a monster from the deck is banned, just like a majority of them. Although Miragestallio kind of has a built-in restriction, where in addition to having a hard once per turn on its effect, and requiring you to detach one of its materials, it also locks you out of activating monster effects for the rest of the turn except for fire monsters. Which means you're kind of locked into only Salamangreat cards, and that's about it. However, being able to special summon any monster from your archetype from your deck on an easy to bring out rank 3 Xyz monster has always been pretty good, especially in a deck that's also just pretty good. Salamangreats were a competitive meta deck that were heavily hit with Salamangreat Miragestallio being banned, and getting 1 copy of this card back might allow them to see play. Just like how getting 1 copy of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage probably can allow Sky Strikers to see play again. Or how Zoodiacs immediately started seeing play as soon as Zoodiac Drident got limited to 1 copy. Sometimes entire decks and archetypes just need 1 card to really pop off. And for semi-limited cards, they changed Double Iris Magician from limited to 1 copy to semi-limited to 2 copies. Double Iris Magician is another key card to Pendulum Magician decks. It has the effect that if it's destroyed, you get to add a Pendulum Graph card from your deck to your hand. And they have a spell card called Star Pendulum Graph, which allows you to basically add another Pendulum Magician monster from your deck to your hand by just doing Pendulum Magician things, of destroying their own scales in order to activate their effects. As Pendulum cards have the distinction where they can be placed on the field pretty easily as a spell card, but then as soon as they're destroyed, they immediately turn into a monster and will gain their monster floating effects. Double Iris Magician has a pendulum effect, where it can destroy itself in order to double the damage a dark spellcaster type monster you control would inflict this turn, which will then allow you to activate the effect of its monster effect to add a Star Pendulum Graph from your deck to your hand, which can then be used to later on search out another Pendulum Magician card. And Double Iris Magician was originally banned in order to rein in the power of Pendulum Magician decks, although it's slowly being released from the ban list. Although, as to why Double Iris Magician is only semi-limited instead of just being released to 3 copies, it's obviously because it's the Double Iris Magician and not the Triple Iris Magician. The card being semi-limited to 2 copies just makes the most sense based on its name. And lastly, we have Symbols of Heritage. This is a spell card which was originally limited to 1 copy and is now being removed off of the ban list, being unlimited. The reason this card was limited to 1 copy is because it's harder to search out an equipped spell card when you only have 1 of them, than if you can have 3 of them due to the card Power Tool Dragon. Power Tool Dragon allows you to search out basically any equipped spell card, as it has an effect that allows you to choose 3 equipped spell cards from your deck, and then your opponent gets to randomly add 1 of them to your hand. So if all 3 of them are the same card, you just get that 1 card you want. And the reason you don't want Symbol of Heritage to be too consistent is because it has the effect to special summon a monster from your graveyard if you just have 3 copies of that card in your graveyard, without a cost, and just only that condition, with the other upside that it doesn't actually destroy the monster it special summons from the graveyard it's removed from the field, except by destruction. And what this means is that you can loop this card infinitely if you have a way to return it to your hand. So for example, I'll have something on screen where there's 3 Cosmic Fortress Golgars in the graveyard and a single Cannon Soldier on the field. Cosmic Fortress Golgar has the effect that once per turn, you can return all face-up spell and trap cards you control to your hand in order to place A counters on monsters on the field. Since his effect is only a soft once per turn, you can simply use Symbol of Heritage to bring it out of the graveyard, use Cosmic Fortress Golgar to return it to your hand, use Cannon Soldier to tribute Cosmic Fortress Golgar for 500 points of damage, and then repeat infinitely. Outside of an infinite loop with an alien card, it's also useful for bringing out cards that can get 3 copies of themselves in the graveyard pretty easily, like Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire Blossom has the effect where it can tribute a plant monster in order to special summon a plant monster from the deck. So if you simply use Lone Fire Blossom's effect on itself 3 times, you'll end up with any plant monster you want on the field, and 3 copies of Lone Fire Blossom in your graveyard, which will immediately fulfill the conditions of Symbol of Heritage, where you just need to have 3 monsters of the same name in your graveyard, and you would have bring out a Lone Fire Blossom no problem. Now, I wouldn't say Lone Fire Blossom is the reason Symbols of Heritage was hit on the ban list, as other plant cards allow you to bring it out no problem as well. That's just a really easy example of a card that can fulfill its conditions for Symbol of Heritage very easily. And that's probably why Symbols of Heritage is being unlimited. The infinite loop with Golgar is kind of a gimmick, and Lone Fire Blossom isn't that big of a deal. Okay, and that's explaining the new ban list. This was a hastily put together video, not done by my editor, so excuse the poor editing in this video. As always, remember to not subscribe.